Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your conquesting yourselves, conquesting things around you. It is great to be back, my friends. A lot of crazy stuff going on with Vigor Warriors. Vigor Warriors 2 is expecting a second grandchild coming up pretty soon. One of my daughters is getting married pretty soon. Working 65 hours a week, trying to kind of help the young warriors out, trying to give them a little bit of guidance, things like that. So busy times, but now I have a chance now to kind of go back to my hobbies. And you know, one of my hobbies is doing these type of videos, hoping you guys are doing well and talking about retention and, more importantly, things like self-control, Stoicism, things like that. So our topic today, and I don't have any shout outs because I have to go back to my list a little bit. We'll do those in the next couple days. As I promised, we'll do some more videos coming up over the next week during the Christmas and New Year's holidays. Get a chance to kind of get back a little bit into some rhythm here before next semester starts. But Seneca, one of my favorite philosophers, made a statement. It says, "The poor man is the man who craves more, not the man who has too little." So Seneca, and this deals with semen retention and the things we're talking about. So let's talk about that a little bit. Now, we talk about the idea of the poor man. Now, we're not talking about necessarily wealth as far as success, and obviously that impacts how people look at things. But warriors, we're talking about poor in the sense of having too little. Now, what do we mean by too little? Well, this is a perception that each individual has of themselves. Now, it doesn't necessarily reflect what's actually happening around them, because a person could have a lot of things in their life and still feel worthless and still feel poor. They could have lots of money and they could still feel poor. They could have great relationships and still feel poor. The person who is the person who's insecure, who has very little, is the one who craves more and more. They're not happy with the car they have, so every 6 months they need a new car. They're not happy with the person they're with, so now every 6 months or every few weeks or every month they have to find a new girlfriend, boyfriend of the month club. They're not happy with making money. Now they need other people's money. They're not happy with the things they have, so they want other people's things. This is where jealousy comes into play. This is where people who are upset about things, they're not happy. They get that green eye of envy. And so the person really then is focusing on having things because they lack. And when it comes to semen retention, this plays a huge factor, warriors, in how you look at life. Now, am I going to say that I look at life perfectly all these years? Of course not. I thought I was missing out because I didn't do some of the things people did. And now as I reflect back on things, I realize that those people were chasing things that really they didn't need to chase. The peace, my friends, comes from within. When you have peace, and this starts with retention, this starts with you reaching your God, your Creator, and developing that connection with that Creator. Once you reach that connection, and you start that by your self-control, that you're using retention to start a self-control process in which now you're listening to God, you're praying, you're meditating, now you're connecting. And as I said, one of my goals is to continue to do retention for 12 years and use a lifestyle change to actually connect more to God. Because if you're focusing on sex all the time, you're focusing on intercourse, you're not going to be focusing on God. God gives you those pleasures, God gives you those people in your life because for a reason. Procreation is a major reason. all the energy you have is used to try to keep that person active, using God's in purpose to focus on things, to conquest things around you. This is why when you look at animals, and dogs especially, and cats, when they're fixed, they become docile because they lose all that energy. Just think of yourself in that kind of situation. Every time you are losing your energy, doing whatever, looking at pictures, even with women, you're becoming more fixed in a sense, because you're losing that ability for that energy later on the line. Yes, it takes a number of days to get back your semen, and it's not impossible. It took me 47 years, so it's not impossible for me right now to have higher testosterone to keep that going, even though I'm in the middle of 62 years right now. It's not impossible, but it has to start sometime. And for a lot of those, my older warriors who are still struggling, any day is a new day to start with. That's why we talk about every day is a new day to a great warrior. This is the day to start. This is the day to look at yourself and say, I'm going to gain some control back. And you start slow, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, start slow. But work yourself up, realizing you don't need to do this. In fact, even though the doctors will tell you all this other nonsense, be careful who you listen to. Because I have not seen any problems, and I'm almost on, 1,100, 1,200 days. I've lost count of it. It's almost over 1,200 days, or close to 1,200. Not over, probably a little bit before 1,200 days. So it's almost 3 years, a little past 3 years. So when you're talking about this, I've only seen positive types of things. And I think the question then you have to ask yourself is, why is this all going wrong? Why do we listen? Why do all these people telling us other things? Well, obviously, there's purposes there. They're trying to get you to buy products. The same reason why they're getting you to buy new glasses every 6 months. You really think that your eyes are going that bad that quickly? If you buy glasses and wear new glasses, your eyes are actually getting weaker in many cases, not stronger. The same thing with medicine. That's why I very rarely take anything except zinc and D3. The only things I end up taking is things that are helping me and natural things that I need in my body if my body's not producing something. But your natural self is the key. And if you're able to control yourself, your cravings become a lot less. And now you're happy with everything. Yes, God is going to give you lots of other things. But that's because you became rich. You are no longer a poor person in what we're talking about. You become stronger because inside of you, you are getting those things you need from God. You don't need these other things. You might be poor when it comes to the outside world, but you're not living in the outside world. They tell you you are, but no one really is. There's a spiritual side of you that is living within God, within your Creator. That you can be happy with all the time. So it doesn't matter. This is where Stoicism plays a big part. It doesn't matter what happens to you outside. If you're happy, if you're at peace, if you're tranquil, you can get excited if you want to. You don't have to get excited. You don't have to get angry at anything. In fact, most people don't get angry when they're on semen retention because they don't have that fear, anxiety level. That's one of the benefits of retention. You don't have those type of levels. You're calm. You're looking younger every day. You're acting younger. You have vitality. You have vigor. The vigor comes from the fact that you become, no matter how old you are. Now, some of you guys are in your 20s. You don't have to worry about this. But as we get older, there's a lot more stresses, responsibilities, things you have on yourself. It's easy to change that. And you have to be careful of that as you're protecting yourself and going through. So as we talk about this idea Seneca talks about, he's talking about the fact that as you get older, as you focus on this, you're focusing on the idea of that you're trying to have less and less cravings. What you really want to do is have be happier, more tranquil, so you don't really have to depend on outside things to make you happy. As a result of that, the poor person then, in this sense, we're not talking about actual wealth here, inside of you becomes stronger because you need less and less. And part of that becomes the fact is you're controlling yourself more. Your wants and needs become less. The things you desire, you have already. All the money in the world is not going to make a difference when it comes to being happy inside. All the cars, all the women, all the things that we go after, those things don't mean anything when it comes to your internal happiness. And that's because you know God is with you, inside of you. And as a result of that, you're not sitting there being upset about anything. You're taking things the way they come. And as you go on this streak longer and longer, you realize there's very few things to get very upset with in the world. Take them with stride, react to them the best you can, do the best you can every day, and you'll be fine. And that's why Seneca's comment is very important, because it has nothing to do with wealth or anything like that. What the comment says is that the poor man is the man who craves a lot. That person is always wanting more, because down deep they're not happy, tranquil with their creator. And because of that, they need something to fill that spot, to fill that role, because they're not happy with it. The person who is the rich person is a person who doesn't have a lot of needs anymore, not a lot of wants. We make the assumption when people get wealthy, they have no more needs and wants. Well, being wealthy and inheriting money, working in money, doesn't get that to you. That's one of the once again, one of those false illusions that society gives us. Just because you've made money doesn't mean you're happy. Doesn't mean if people give you a lot of money doesn't mean you're happy. It's mainly because the happiness has to be inside of you. And that is gained only because of relationship for your God. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much celebrityness you have. All that makes no difference in the world. And people who are living in the world don't realize that. Once they get outside of that world, which they all do one time or another, whether their last day of living on this earth or not, they're getting to that point. Some do it a lot earlier, and be fortunate if you are one of those. Because now you're cultivating the relationship with your God, and you're realizing, I don't need 99% of the stuff that is around me. And if you're not controlled by that stuff, then no one has control over you. And by right, the only person who should have control over you is God and you. And that's how you become that strong, high-value, independent male that you're looking for. And of course, you can do the same thing as a female as well. All right, my friends. Well, always a pleasure to come back and talk with you guys. We're going to do this event very soon again. I'm going to try to keep up with what we can do here. Go back to the shout-outs as well. But I wanted to always focus on Seneca's point because he makes a good point. And so we'll do one tomorrow, is continue to grow during semen retention, and we'll kind of focus on some of the other comments and topics we've had. All right, my friends, until next time, and soon, it'll be soon next time. Two things always I leave you guys with. One, warriors. Every day is a new day to a great warrior because you're getting closer and closer to God. And number two, my friends, this is a battle between us and the evil one every day to keep our self-control. Don't get caught up with that rich man's philosophy of craving more and more and more. Be grateful and happy with the things you have. Therefore, you're going to have less wants and needs, and you're going to be within your Creator's conquest, and you're going to conquest everything around you. Because of that, people will value you as a high-value person. And that's why we always have to continue to battle on!